Hi, my name is Jeremy Brunansky, and you're about to watch a brand new episode of Brunansky's Vlog. This is a weekly show that drops every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube. In this show, we cover movie news, movie reviews, and a little bit more. If this is your first time with us, consider clicking that subscribe button. For everybody who's returning, thank you so much. And as always, if you enjoy any portion of this show, give me that thumbs up button. Let's go ahead and cut now to this week's episode. Good morning. It's Monday morning. It's 10 a.m. PST. You're here on YouTube about to watch another brand new episode of Brunansky's Vlog. Thanks for stopping by. This week we got a lot of great things to talk about. We have a couple news stories that we're going to really dive deep into. Plus we have a couple honorable mentions as well that we're going to take a look at before we move into the movie review segment. And then right after those movie reviews are over, don't go anywhere because we are going to jump right into more content. We're going to take a look at what's arriving in theaters this week. Also, what's arriving on DVD and Blu-ray for your home theater this week. And finally, my personal favorite, Certified Rad. I don't want to take up any more time with this introduction because we've got a lot of really great stuff to talk about and to look at this week. I'm Jeremy Brunansky. You're watching Brunansky's Vlog on YouTube. It's Monday morning. Let's go ahead and cut now to the news. In the news, Chris Columbus has signed on to direct, produce, and write a big screen adaptation of the video game Five Nights at Freddy's for Blumhouse. Link for the Deadline article in the show notes below. Is this going to be a success or not? Continually, over and over again, we see Hollywood try and make these films that stem from all of this mythos and lore that happens in video games, and then it's just a big swing and a miss at the box office. A couple years back, I actually wrote an article about this. I'm going to throw a link for that article in the description box below if you want to check it out. At this point, it's not outdated, but it is kind of outdated because we're at the time of that article, we are waiting for Warcraft, the movie, to come out. But all of the points I make in that article are still relevant and topical today. So when we look at this film, we have one of two choices. We can either say this is going to be just another big swing and a miss because Hollywood just doesn't know how, for whatever reason, to find the right team, the right director, and everybody else to make these video game adaptations work on the big screen. Or we can say maybe because it's Blumhouse and they have a really good track record with horror, that they'll be able to take this game that's a bit more of a horror-based game and actually make it work on the big screen. But before we do that, let's take a look back at some of the films that have already come out that are based off of video games, just in case you're looking at me going, wait a minute, Jeremy, not all of these movies have been terrible. There's probably been one or two hidden gems like that have come out that were based on video games. So you could be right. But before I say you're definitely right, let's take a look over the movies that have come out that were based on video games, and then I'll let you decide if that's an accurate statement that you just made about how there's at least maybe one or two hidden gems in all of Hollywood history of making these video games come to life on the big screen. So on my notes here, I wrote down a bunch of films that have already come out. Some of these are in the article in the description box below, but just in case you don't have time to reference that article, we'll just list off a few of them here right now. So we have Super Mario Brothers, Street Fighter, Double Dragon, the Mortal Kombat franchise, the Tomb Raider franchise, including the new Tomb Raider that's about to come out. Then we've got the Resident Evil franchise, the movie Doom, the Hitman franchise, Max Payne, Prince of Persia, The Need for Speed, Warcraft, Assassin's Creed, Wing Commander, House of the Dead, and Blood Rain. So going through that list, maybe there's one or two that you didn't even realize were video game movies. Maybe you didn't see them in theaters, they just passed right by you. Maybe you saw them, but you saw them on DVD or on cable or something like that. Either way, as we go through that list, there's really not a lot of shining examples for the video game adaptations. Now, for me personally, the first Mortal Kombat movie is entertaining. The first Tomb Raider movie with Angelina Jolie, that was entertaining. And to be fair, the first Resident Evil movie was also entertaining. So yes, there are one or two hidden gems in this list, but as a whole, as a majority of a particular style, a particular brand of films, there really is just a big swing and a miss time and time again for this franchise. But again, let's look now at Blumhouse as the production company that specializes in small budget horror films. And let's say that because they specialize in this brand, maybe Blumhouse will be able to do for the video game genre what Marvel was able to do for the superhero genre. You've got a smaller production company that specializes in one type of film and does a very good job with that type of film, from what their box office results are, as well as their critic and audience scores are. And they're going to step into this world now and try and take on a video game that was more horror based and scary and spooky and all that. And they're going to try and turn this into a film. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they've got this team together that is going to be able to deliver something that is entertaining and something that is of value in a franchise, or in a genre rather, that has been lacking and suffering a great deal as far as that's all concerned for video game movies. Go ahead and sound off below in the comments section with your thoughts about Blumhouse stepping into this particular world for Five Nights at Freddy's. Do you think they'll be able to pull it off? Do you even want to see a movie based on Five Nights at Freddy's? Did you play the game? What did you think of the game? Sound off below and let us know your thoughts. David Hasselhoff, Michael Fassbender, and Arnold Schwarzenegger are all set for roles in the Kung Fury remake, currently in the works. Link for the Hollywood Reporter article in the show notes below. So if you're wondering what Kung Fury is, you can actually find it on YouTube. It's about 30 minutes long, 31 minutes long. It's not very lengthy. I still haven't watched it. I need to, now that they're going to do a full-length film on this short little goofy adventure film that has to deal with, martial arts and Nazis and dinosaurs and everything else crazy like that. So I'm curious to see kind of more from this, like what this film is actually going to look like, because when you add David Hasselhoff and Arnold Schwarzenegger to a film, you're already kind of leaning me towards the belief that this is just going to be a fun film that doesn't take itself too seriously. When you read the synopsis of the movie, clearly this film does not take itself very seriously. But then you add Michael Fassbender, who's a very talented actor. So I had to sit back and go, well, what is his career path looking like? Like, where does he really want to go? Because when I'm looking over his IMDb and I'm like going back and looking over the movies that I've seen that he's been in, his name attached to a film isn't necessarily getting me excited anymore for the film. A couple years ago, like I'd hear Michael Fassbender's going to be in a movie. I was like, oh, this is probably going to be a good movie because he's a really talented actor. Why would a really talented actor pick a bad movie to be in? I think that's a fair question. So I decided to pull up just kind of what he's done over the last couple years, just the last 3 years, just to kind of see like where is he at? Like what's he going for? And so on my notes here, we've got the last film he did was The Snowman, then Alien Covenant, then Assassin's Creed, then Light Between Oceans, X-Men Apocalypse, Steve Jobs, Macbeth. When I look at this, I say he did a great job in Macbeth. I thought he pulled off an incredibly engaging performance. So if you haven't seen that, his performance is definitely worth the time checking that film out. And then everything that he's done with Magneto has been good, and Steve Jobs was also good. But then he just has like this long list of films like surrounding all of those that just really aren't showcasing his ability to be an incredible actor. So in the last Alien movie, Alien Covenant, I thought his performance was good, but again, it's really not showcasing his ability as an actor because he just has to play like the stone cold sociopath in that movie, and then just another character that's a little bit more innocent and robotic at the same time. So it was fun to watch him kind of play off of the two different characters on screen as he had these monologues back and forth with himself since he's a robot, but it wasn't really showcasing his level of talent. And while I enjoyed the movie itself, it was okay. Some people really liked it. Some people just don't like this new Alien series and the way they've been going, but I've enjoyed it all the way into Prometheus going forward. So what I'm imagining looking at this, when I looked over his IMDb, he has a lot of little independent films that didn't get released or had very, very limited releases. So I'm wondering if he just does these big blockbuster budget films to get a paycheck, and then he's like, okay, cool, now I can actually like go and do these artsy pieces that are more intimate, that are more personal maybe, and kind of focus more on my craft now that I've got paid. Because that's really the only thing I can think of when I'm looking over like what's going on with his career. He does these giant blockbuster spectacles where he gets paid, and then like the movie doesn't do that well, and you just kind of look at it and you're like, why does he keep doing films like this? But then when you look over his roster of like what the films he's acted in, he has like all of these little indie films. So like I'm just trying to like piece the puzzle together, and what I'm coming up with is he just does this for the paycheck so that he can then go and do these smaller films where he probably won't get much money, if any, for these roles, and then like he can kind of focus on his craft and being an actor and everything else. Because that's the only thing I could come up with, especially when I look at like his next movie is going to be Kung Fury with David Hasselhoff and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And one of the most absurd plots with special effects and everything else that I've heard of. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I was just like, what is going on? But if he's gonna get paid so he can do smaller things that he's passionate about, that's cool too. Go ahead and sound off below with your thoughts about not just Kung Fury being remade, but also let us know what you think about Michael Fassbender as an actor and like his career. What are some of the highlights of his career performance-wise that you've particularly enjoyed? Sound off in the comments below. Fox has moved the James Cameron Robert Rodriguez film Alita Battle Angel from July 20th to December 21st of this year. Link for the Variety article in the show notes below. There's been some films that have really been moving around as far as scheduling is concerned for this year going into next year. So I was pretty excited when I heard this news. I was like, cool, this is great, because I'm actually really excited about this film. So if they're moving it from the summertime to Christmas time, yes, it is a bummer because now we have to wait longer to see this film, and the trailers look super dope. So I was like, okay, kind of bummed out that we have to wait, but I can wait if that means more people will get out to see it and it's as good as I hope it is. That way it'll make more money and maybe we can get a sequel out of it as well, because the cast also looks dynamite. So I went ahead and pulled up the schedules for July and December. That way I could say with confidence, like, yeah, this was a good move. They're doing it because they think it'll have less competition. It might make more money during the holidays. Even though the holiday movies really don't make that much money because of everyone spending their dollars at Christmas on Christmas presents or travel, etc. But I wanted to make sure. So I wanted to check the schedule to see what it would be up against. And let's talk about that right now. So I wrote down on my trusty notepad here. So looking at July, just the month of July, right? Because a movie comes out and most people see it that opening weekend, and then there's, you know, anywhere from 30 to 50% drop from week 1 to week 2. You're hoping that when it drops, those people get out to the theaters to see it. But if they don't, what are they going to see the next week? Does it have any competition that second week, that third week? So I wanted to look at the month as a whole so we could have a better idea of what stacked competition is there before we're like, oh, this was a great move or this was a really bad move. So in July 6th, we have The First Purge and Ant-Man and the Wasp. So already right there, the month of July is starting off pretty strong, which if you don't get out to see those films opening weekend, then definitely the second weekend you'll probably be seeing them for sure, which is still okay because previously it was going to be released in the third week of July. So for the second week of July, we have Skyscraper with The Rock and Hotel Transylvania 3, the new animated film with Adam Sandler. A little bit more competition here because now you got a Rock film. The Rock's been doing really well in the box office. People get out to see his films. Him and Tom Cruise may be the last two action heroes that you put their name on a film and people go out to see it. But, you know, the week before, so if you don't get out to see Skyscraper because maybe you went to go see Ant-Man and the Wasp, now the next weekend, that's where maybe you're going to go see Skyscraper, and that's the weekend where Alita Battle Angel would have fallen because its only competition was Mamma Mia 2. It is a different type of movie, so you're going to attract a different audience. So Alita Battle Angel really wouldn't be, that audience wouldn't be competing for ticket sales for the audience for Mamma Mia. But again, you've got Ant-Man and the Wasp, The First Purge, and Skyscraper all in theaters at the same time. So right now, this is looking like a good move to get it out of July and into the holiday season. Because the following week, right afterwards, you've got Mission Impossible 6 and then Teen Titans Go. Now, if you aren't familiar with Teen Titans Go, this is a very popular animated series, which I think is going to do very well in the summer months because kids are out of school and kids are really enjoying Teen Titans Go. So their parents are going to take them maybe once or twice to see this film because again, it's the summertime. Kids are out of school, so why not take them to the movies? But Mission Impossible 6, that's going to do big numbers. So we're looking at it, we're going The First Purge, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Skyscraper, and then Mission Impossible 6. All live action films that are easily going to pull the same audience that would go to see Alita Battle Angel. So right now we're going, okay, maybe it was smart to move it out of July and back to December. Because Hotel Transylvania 3, Teen Titans Go, and Mamma Mia really aren't going to pull too many people from Alita Battle Angel. But overall, the big challenges for them, the big hurdles would be The First Purge, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Skyscraper, and Mission Impossible 6. So right now, it feels like a really good move to get it out of July entirely and get it out into December for the holiday months. All right, so let's go ahead and look at December just so we can confirm our suspicions are correct. And this was a wise strategic business move to get more people to see it, to bring more money into the theater for this particular film. Coming out in December 14th, we have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Mortal Engines. Now, both of these films, even though Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is animated, it's Miles Morales as well as other Spider-Man characters, and Mortal Engines looks like it's gonna be really good too. I feel like both of these films are going to pull an audience from Alita Battle Angel for sure. So if you don't get out for that opening weekend to see these two films, maybe you check them out the next weekend. But let's see what's coming out the following weekend. So coming out with Alita Battle Angel now on December 21st, we have the new Aquaman movie by James Wan. You've got the new Transformers movie Bumblebee, and you also have Holmes and Watson, which is Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. And then right after that, you've got Mary Poppins Returns and Bohemian Rhapsody on December 25th. This is not any better for this film. This is actually worse in my opinion, because almost all of the films coming out in December are going to be pulling from the same demographic of viewer. So it's going to be like this crazy like split of what movie are we going to go see opening weekend? What are we going to see the next weekend? Like this is just throwing it in a pile of films that are all going to be competing for the same viewers. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Mortal Engines, Aquaman, Transformers, Holmes and Watson is going to be a comedy, but it's going to still be pulling that same kind of adult audience. When I realized this, it completely pulled all of my enthusiasm away for this film, because now I feel like they just bumped it back so maybe people will forget about it. And then when it comes out, it's going to get lost in the shuffle, lost in the crowd because of how much competition surrounding it. And we're not going to hear about it in December either. This was such a bummer for me because I was so excited to see this because I really enjoyed the trailer. And I was looking forward to like getting that big screen viewing to see the special effects and everything else. And now we might not even get an IMAX screening because Aquaman or Transformers might pull that IMAX screening, as well as like the Dolby Digitals, right? You've got these two giant established properties with Aquaman not necessarily established as Aquaman franchise, but definitely in the DC franchise with Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, right? This is an established character that's part of the DC universe of films. And then Transformers is always going to pull in an audience, and those are always special effects heavy. So that's probably going to be IMAX. That's probably going to be the Dolby Digital premium theaters, right? So what does that tell us about Alita Battle Angel? It got moved from July, it got bumped, and it looked like it should have been moved, but then it gets placed in a worse situation for competition. Now, if this movie is incredible and everybody loves it and everybody goes and sees it and Aquaman underperforms and Transformers is a bust, just like the last Transformers movie was, okay, maybe then it was a good decision. Maybe like the Hollywood insiders, like they're really tracking this because they're like, look, we've heard some things about these films that just, these films aren't going to be as good as people are hoping, and this is actually a safe bet even though it looks crazy. But I'm not going to bet on that. I'm going to bet on the fact that they pushed it out of July because it's for whatever reason not going to do what they assume it's going to do or what they hope it would have done, and they moved it back a couple months so people may forget about it, and then it's going to get lost in the shuffle of December, which is such a bummer because I don't want to be negative about it, but when I look at it I'm just like, man, I don't see any other way that this shakes out except that people forget it that it came out, and then all of these other films come out, especially with like an Aquaman and a Transformers movie. Like those two are just going to powerhouse that weekend against each other. If you can't get in to see Aquaman, you'll probably go see Transformers and vice versa. And then if you can't get into those two, maybe you go see Alita Battle Angel, or you go see Mortal Engines a second time. Maybe you go see Into the Spider-Verse a second time. Like it just doesn't feel like this movie is going to be any good anymore. Super bummed. I still want to see it though because it's Robert Rodriguez and James Cameron. So I'm still looking forward to seeing it now, but my spirits are definitely dampened. Go ahead and sound off below with your thoughts about the move for Alita Battle Angel being pushed from the summer to December and literally thrown right in the middle of what could be two summer blockbusters but are actually right before Christmas. Honorable mentions this week: Michael Keaton is in talks to star in What Is Life Worth?, a biopic set after the tragic events of 9/11 for Mad River Pictures. Den of Thieves is getting a sequel. Director Paul King is in talks to direct a Willy Wonka film. Joaquin Phoenix is in talks to play the Joker in a standalone Joker movie. Melissa McCarthy and Tiffany Haddish are looking to team up in the drama The Kitchen, a screenplay written by Andrea Berloff based on a 2014 comic book series. Alright everybody, and that wraps up the news for this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the coverage as much as I enjoyed talking about the news with you. If you did, go ahead and give me that thumbs up, because the thumbs up actually helps other people who like movie-related shows find this movie-related show right here on YouTube. We're going to go ahead and move now to the movie review segment. I was able to get out to the theater to see two different films this week, and those films are going to be Black Panther and Early Man. So let's go ahead and roll to those spoiler-filled reviews right now. It's the dawn of time when man and dinosaurs roam the earth together probably looking for lunch. Then, a meteor strikes the Earth, leaving only a small, round-shaped chunk behind to prove its existence. The cavemen who discover this rock quickly realize its potential, and the game of soccer is invented. Or football for everybody outside of America. So, does Early Man deliver on a tale that bridges the gap between the Stone Age and the Bronze Age with clever and humorous aplomb, or is this film headed for extinction? Let's dive in and take a look in this review. The runtime for this film clocks in at just under 90 minutes, and to be honest, it didn't even feel that long. The story tempo actually moves at a fairly rapid pace, which played to my overall enjoyment of the film. We meet all of the characters and the worlds they inhabit almost immediately. The story wastes no time setting up the conflict, and even setting up the training montage that the modern cavemen have to go through to learn how to play soccer, just like their ancestors. The same can be said for character development, as we meet the characters and almost immediately we understand exactly why they do the things they do and who they are. Additionally, the vocal talent that was actually used by all of the voice actors to bring these characters to life for us was done very well. Each of the voice actors, too, also brought a certain flair to help exaggerate the personality types of the individuals that they were representing. In short, this film did a great job with pacing, story structure, and vocal performance. The animation style used for this particular film is actually known as stop motion animation. This means that a character or object is moved in tiny increments between individually photographed shots to create the illusion of movement once all of those shots are played back at a quick speed. You've probably already seen other films use this technique, films like Coraline, Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, Shaun the Sheep, and my personal favorite of the bunch, Kubo and the Two Strings. Since not many of our popular films that come out all year in theaters use this particular style or technique, it can be a fun visual treat for us as an audience when we go see these types of movies if it's done well. Early Man does the job well. Also, there's a great blending of CGI that they do with the stop motion animation technique. For example, when the characters are actually playing in these soccer tournaments or football tournaments for everyone outside of America, the CGI does a great job to fill in the background of the stadium. So you have lots and lots of fans cheering or booing to each of the things that happen on the field for the tournament. In short, this film actually looks way better on the big screen than the trailers led me to believe, and for that, I was pretty happy. Early Man is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I am definitely recommending a big screen viewing if you've got a family or you've got kids that really just enjoy goofball, fun animated movies. There's some great humor in this film with three characters in particular: the boar, Lord Nuth, voiced by Tom Hiddleston, and later in the film when you're introduced to the messenger bird. All three of these characters really deliver some fun, comedic moments on screen that did actually get an audible laugh out of me while I was in the theater. Again, Early Man doesn't waste any time. You understand the characters, the plot makes sense, even though it doesn't, and you'll be sure to enjoy a few laughs from beginning to end. And because of all of that, Early Man is getting at least one high five from this guy. Early Man is playing at your local movie theater right now. Check it out. It's been 52 years since the introduction of the Wakandan king who leads a nation so technologically advanced the world didn't even know about its existence. To become the king, the ritual is that of combat. You have to either kill or submit your opponent to claim the mantle of Black Panther, King of Wakanda. After the events of Captain America's Civil War, the throne is empty and looking to be filled, but not everything in this movie is as simple as kill or be killed. So, does Marvel's Black Panther deliver a fresh and unique story for a character over 50 years old, or do we need to put this old timer down for bed? Let's dive in and take a look in this review. Marvel continues to trust its directors and storytellers to provide unique and entertaining films that explore decades upon decades of characters and mythos. This trust has built a universe of films that will go down in Hollywood history as one of the greatest cinematic achievements in film. Black Panther is no exception. Director Ryan Coogler creates a world that is perfectly balanced between old world customs and advanced scientific realism. The careful attention paid to crafting and shaping the nation of Wakanda was seamless. On the outskirts of Wakanda, we have what appears to be farmers and lush vegetation. And then once we break through the barrier that hides Wakanda from the rest of the world, we find out that it's a booming metropolis that is generations or more ahead of the rest of the world with regards to mass transit, architecture, medicine, and weaponry. Along with all of this, there's also a level of mysticism that's present that allows the current king of Wakanda to actually travel to an ancestral plane to speak with the deceased kings and gain their wisdom and knowledge. So even with all of the scientific advancement, there's still a spiritual component that exists within this world that is very present as part of the culture that has developed this nation. The one big question I had going into this film, the one big question that I've been talking about on Twitter for some time, is in regards to the Soul Gem, the last Infinity Stone, before we get to Avengers Infinity War this year. Black Panther did not directly answer that question, but it kind of answered it. Stick with me. At the beginning of the film, we're introduced to the nation of Wakanda, its history, its origin, and then it kind of brings us all the way up to current day modern time. In this look back at the nation of Wakanda, we're told that a meteorite of vibranium struck the earth, thus creating a brand new landscape that Wakanda was built on. And since this impact of the vibranium meteor created this brand new world that Wakanda exists in, and created this specific flower that allows you to travel to an ancestral plane to speak with the departed, does that mean that the Soul Gem is actually in the heart of the vibranium meteor that struck the Earth? Because perhaps Thanos is the only one who understands that the last remaining Infinity Stone, the Soul Gem, is deep in the mountain in the heart of Wakanda. But again, this film doesn't answer that question. It only kind of leads it to speculation that because they're able to travel to the land of the dead to speak with the departed, it's entirely possible that the Soul Gem is providing these flowers that they drink, and then it gives them that ability, but it's not entirely the case because it did not confirm it in this film. So we still have to wait and see. I'm still contending that the Soul Gem is in Heimdall, or Heimdall is the physical manifestation of the Soul Gem created by Odin to be an incredible weapon for Asgard and all of the 9 realms. However, again, this is all just speculation and we'll have to wait and see once Avengers Infinity War hits theaters this summer. The consistent problem Marvel has had over the last 10 years of filmmaking has always been the villain. Marvel likes to create hero stories, which means they focus heavily on the hero's journey and how all of the factors in that world play to the hero's journey, more than a straight conflict of good guy versus bad guy. And I'm here to propose something incredibly different, maybe even controversial if you are a huge fan of any of the 3 villains in this film. I'm here to present the case that Killmonger, Ulysses Klaue, and M'Baku were not the main antagonist of this movie. I contend that these 3 villains were all just tools moving T'Challa to the final conflict for him to resolve, which would actually be the actual antagonist of this film. So if you're wondering right now, Jeremy, who do you think is the villain? I don't think the villain is a who. I think the villain is a what. So I'm here today to present that the true villain of this film is actually the culture of isolationism that Wakanda has had for generations. The constant conflict that T'Challa is facing in this film is the fact that as a superior nation, what is the level of responsibility that they have to assist the rest of the world? What is their role, and should they continue to just sit idly by until absolutely necessary? And this struggle takes place at the very beginning of the film when we find out that T'Challa has a love interest. And it's through this woman that we find out that this struggle is going to be the main theme of the film. And it's his love for this woman that leads to the abrupt change that we see by the end of the film. But it's not the entire reason we see the abrupt change, but it is definitely a major factor. Black Panther is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I am definitely recommending a big screen viewing of this film. I've already seen this film twice, and I'm most certain a third viewing is just around the corner. This film stands apart and stands on its own, so that if you haven't seen the other films, you'll still be okay just walking into this. They did a fantastic job reminding us about what happened happened in Captain America Civil War, so that we didn't necessarily need to watch that film again, but it certainly would help if you have the time. The story is engaging, the characters all have great on-screen chemistry together, the humor is appropriately placed without being over the top. And on top of all of that, there's even thought-provoking conversations that take place that really look at and really examine what the responsibilities of an individual or a nation are that are so far advanced and so far beyond societal norms. Plus, we have some engaging conversation regarding leadership, family, community, or tribalism, and the value of helping your neighbor, because it's the right and proper thing to do. There is so much in this film to digest and enjoy. The airplane/spaceship fight scenes, the weaponry used by all of the tribes, the martial arts, the fighting styles that each different tribe uses. It's like Ryan Coogler sat down and said, I'm going to make a spy meets Top Gun, meets science fiction, meets martial arts tale about heritage, family, community, leadership, culture, and more. This film is definitely worth your hard-earned dollars and your time. I saw this film in IMAX. I also saw it on a regular screen. MoviePass does not cover IMAX screenings, so I had to come out of pocket for that, and no regrets. And because of that, Black Panther is getting both high fives from this guy. Black Panther is playing at your local movie theater right now. Go see this film. And that wraps up the movie reviews for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed those reviews, and also I hope you guys got out to the theaters to actually see both those films. And if you did, go ahead and comment below with your thoughts about those movies. We're gonna go ahead and move now into the last segment of the show, where we take a look at what's arriving in theaters, what's arriving on DVD and Blu-ray for your home theater, and finally, Certified Rad. So let's take a look at what's coming out at your local movie theater right now. In theaters this week, Game Night, Annihilation, Every Day. So with Game Night, I have a curiosity and an excitement that's kind of going back and forth for this film, because the first trailer I saw, I was like, okay, it's just going to be a comedy. And then the second trailer came out and it actually gave us a little bit more about the plot, what the film's going to be about, kind of how intense it could be. And I was like, this could be actually a pretty entertaining flick. So I'm pretty interested, because one of my favorite films by Michael Douglas is The Game. And if you haven't seen this movie, I definitely recommend it. I'll throw a link for this in the description box below, and you can check this out if you haven't seen it. So it looks like they're kind of using part of the idea from The Game for Game Night, and then they also added a bunch of actors who are really good in comedies. So it looks like it's going to be this nice blending of kind of what's funny versus what's serious, what's suspenseful versus what's laughable. And for me personally, I think that could be a really cool combination that could work. Next up is Annihilation. Out of the three films, this is the film that I'm most excited to see. Alex Garland comes back. He did Ex Machina, which I absolutely loved. I thought Ex Machina was an absolutely brilliant film that explores what does it mean to be alive, to have consciousness, everything else, and it's all done through the use of like this billionaire tech genius, his house, and his robots. It's a really well done film. It's a science fiction film, but it's not science fiction like Fifth Element science fiction or anything like that, where you've got like all of these like crazy outfits and like laser guns and stuff like that. But I absolutely loved Ex Machina. So to see Garland come back to do Annihilation, I'm hoping that there's that same type of philosophical look at life and what does it mean to be alive and stuff like that, that he did so well in Ex Machina with this one. Because in this one, it looks like there's some type of alien life form that's recreating the Earth in its image. And that's only what we have from the trailers, right? I haven't seen the film, so I don't know. But just from the trailers, it looks like there's this new life form that's trying to like recreate life on this planet as it's kind of like slowly expanding out across the area where it landed. So I'm excited to see that. Excited to see like what he's able to do as a writer and director for this film. What is the analysis, or what is the philosophical look at life? Like, where is he going to go? What topic is he going to choose? And then it looks like it's going to have a lot of suspense. It's going to have some possibly good action sequences as well. And it looks like the special effects in this could be dynamite, because if you see in the trailers, you have that like kind of clear rainbow thing that they've got to walk through, like a shield. And then there's also like all of the vegetation in that world that's being being recreated, and you see like the deers running around, and the deers on their horns have like flowers and stuff growing out of the deers. So it looks like this could be a really good visual film, as well as a thought-provoking film and a good action and kind of suspense thriller. So I'm excited to see Annihilation the most. If you guys are, go ahead and sound off below with your thoughts. But this is the one film where I'm like, yep, opening night, like let's do this. I'm ready. And then Every Day, I don't know anything about this film. I've seen one trailer for it, and from the trailer and also from the plot synopsis that you can find online, it's about a teenager who falls in love with somebody, but that person changes bodies every single day. So the person they're in love with, they're like, in a sense, this person's in love with the spirit of the person, which is fine, right? That's a romantic idea, to fall in love with the soul of the individual, even though the soul of the individual changes bodies every day. Sounds interesting. It also kind of feels like it's going to be like a teenage young adult movie, which typically those movies, the dialogue really isn't written that well. So I'm not really excited to see this. I might miss this one in theaters. So if you're excited to see this, go ahead and sound off in the comments below and let us know why, because the trailers really didn't sell me on this film at all. All right, let's take a look at what's arriving on DVD and Blu-ray for your home theater. On DVD and Blu-ray this week, Daddy's Home 2, The Star, Same Kind of Different as Me, The Florida Project. So out of these 4 films, I've only seen one of these films, and that was Daddy's Home 2, which I actually enjoyed, and I think more people will actually enjoy it now that it's available for DVD and Blu-ray and streaming. So I'm definitely going to recommend you guys check that out. I'll go ahead and throw my card up here, and you can just click on that, and that will actually take you right to the review I did for Daddy's Home 2. It actually was a surprisingly entertaining film, above my expectation, but go ahead and watch that review, and that'll give you more of an idea of what I particularly enjoyed in that film. The Star, obviously, it's a more religious film, right? It's about the origins of Christmas and the birth of Jesus and all of that, with the Bethlehem and all of the animals at the manger. You know, you might want to check that out if you lean more towards that way. The Florida Project, getting a lot of praise. People are saying it should have been nominated for more things at the Oscars. I haven't seen it yet. I do want to see it. So now that it's available on DVD and Blu-ray, I might actually be able to check that out. And if I do, hopefully I'll be able to get my review recorded, and I can just throw it up on the DVD and VOD playlist that's also on this channel, which covers just stuff that you can stream or pick up at your local used bookstore. And then Same Kind of Different as Me. I didn't see this film. I don't even remember trailers for this film, so I can't really speak to this film at all. So if you have seen this film, or you're familiar with it, or you enjoyed it, or whatever the case may be, go ahead and leave your comments below and let us know what you thought. All right, now we're gonna move into my favorite segment of the show. You guys never know what's going to drop, but I can guarantee whatever drops will most definitely be certified rad. This week for Certified Rad, we are going to continue the theme of Black Panther. The Black Panther train has left the station. We are on board, and we are moving down the line with Black Panther by Marvel. So Marvel put out Black Panther, first time that Black Panther has ever been on the big screen in his own feature, and it is doing gangbusters right now at the box office, breaking all kinds of records. Very successful. As you just heard from my review, I absolutely loved my time in the theater with this film. Again, I saw it twice already. It's Monday morning, I saw it Friday morning, I saw it Thursday night, and now it's Monday. I'm looking forward to my third viewing of it as soon as I can get out to the theater to check it out again. It really just is that good of a film overall in general, and I think you guys should check it out, most def. So this film is really like moving a lot of people to action, and is really calling them to kind of jump into the community and really like inspire people to get out to the theater to check this film out. And as you've heard in previous Certified Rad segments on this show this month, there's been a lot of people who have done like GoFundMe campaigns and stuff like that to try and raise money to take inner city youth to the theaters. TI and Walmart also teamed up to take kids or just people in general in Atlanta to advance screening of this film. And this week is no exception. We're going to continue with this, with the community coming together and just trying to be a driving force to get people into the theaters to check this film out, because it is a very good film, and also it's very important to the community that it represents. So for everyone to come together and just be like, yep, we're doing this, we're getting as many people as we can into the theater, that's certified rad for sure. But then when you look at like what they're doing and who's coming together to help, that's even more certified rad. So this week for Certified Rad, we're looking at Top Dog Entertainment and Interscope Records, because they actually got together and then they took, for 3 different showings, they took the children in Watts, South Los Angeles, they took the kids in Watts to actually go see Black Panther on the big screen. screen. And they took them for 3 different showings. So they didn't just step up to the plate and be like, okay, cool guys, we're gonna get you into this movie and then we're done. They stepped up to the plate and said, all right, let's load up these buses or these vans with kids because we got to get them to the movies because we have 3 different showings that we've covered the bill for, so we can get even more people into the theater. And I think when you step up to the plate, and not just stepping up to be like, yeah, we're gonna get you in to see this movie, but when you step up and you're like, hey, we got 3 showings we're buying out, and then you're taking all of these kids and everybody else into the movies to experience this for the first time, you can guarantee that that is most definitely certified rad. All right, and that wraps up this week's brand new episode. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on Brunansky's Vlog on a Monday morning for another episode here on YouTube. Hope you guys enjoyed all of the content that we talked about this week. If you did, go ahead and give me that thumbs up, because the thumbs up helps people who like movie-related shows find this movie-related show right here on YouTube. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button, go ahead and do that right now. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers. That's the next goal. We're getting very close. We only need a few more people to click that button. So go ahead and click that subscribe button. Also click the bell. That way you get notifications as soon as new content drops right here on this channel. Thank you guys again so much for joining me here this week for Brunansky's Vlog. Again, I hope you enjoyed all the content that we discussed this week on this week's brand new episode. I got to get out of here because I got to get over to Facebook because we're about to do a Facebook live stream right now to talk the weekend box office report, some more spoiler reviews and discussion for Black Panther, as well as 1 or 2 news stories that may have dropped this morning. I'm out of here. Thank you again for watching. I'm Jeremy Brunansky. This is Brunansky's Vlog. Have a great Monday, and I hope to see you guys right now on Facebook Live. Take care. Have a great week. Bye-bye. Hi, I'm Jeremy Brunansky, and you've just finished watching another episode of Brunansky's Vlog. Along with the weekly show, we also have special segments, as well as DVD and video on-demand reviews that you may want to check out. Thank you so much for watching this brand new episode, and we'll see you next Monday at 10 a.m. PST for another brand new episode of Brunansky's Vlog. Have a great week, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.